Three mistakes that introverts make on LinkedIn, and these mistakes make it so that people cannot connect with them. I'm Greg. I'm the introverted networker, and today I want to talk a little bit about LinkedIn and networking on LinkedIn. I believe LinkedIn is the most powerful networking platform out there. That's just my opinion. It's the one I use. It's where I'm at all the time. I know some other people might argue with that. That's fine. You can use whatever you think works best for you. But for me, LinkedIn is where I go to find new people to connect with, where I deepen my connections, where I try to move from that online conversation into an in-person or voice-to-voice conversation. A lot of introverts I see use it wrong. Let me be specific. Everybody uses it wrong. Maybe not everybody. A lot of people are using it wrong. And these mistakes, these couple of mistakes or these three mistakes I'm going to talk about prevent people from growing their networks on LinkedIn. But the good news is these are really easy to fix. These are things you can do pretty quickly and simply. And if you commit to spending some time on the platform and engaging with people, most of these mistakes will take care of themselves. So I want to go through each one of these mistakes, tell you why it's a problem for networking on LinkedIn, and tell you what you can do to fix those. So mistake number one is an incomplete profile. That's not something that's revolutionary. I mean, anybody who spends any time on LinkedIn will tell you that the profile should be complete. And, you know, I say that too, but I still see profiles out there that just basically say, don't connect with me. That when people go to look at that profile, they're like, I don't know if this is a real person. I don't know if this is a person that's going to be valuable in my network. So I'm not going to connect with them. The power of LinkedIn is in sharing your identity, your real identity, or at least the brand that you want to put forward. One of the things that makes LinkedIn a little bit different than other social media platforms is people put their real names, first and last real name. Most social media platforms, people will either put in an alias or a username or a screen name or only part of their name. In LinkedIn, most people are encouraged to put their full real name. And the benefit of that is people come to trust the information they see there. Now, I'm not going to say that there aren't people out there with fake profiles or put stuff on their profiles that aren't true, but for the most part, people are there sharing their identity because the purpose is for people to be able to find out more about you, to connect you with career opportunities or business opportunities. If you have a profile that doesn't have a photo, doesn't have a strong headline, doesn't say anything in the about section that expresses who you are, people who come to your profile will look at that and think, I don't want to connect with that person, or there's not value in connecting with that person. So LinkedIn is a really important place to make sure that your profile is complete. And you can find tons of people out there who will tell you, here's all the things you can do with your profile. But for me, when I'm deciding whether I'm going to connect with somebody or not, I look at their profile. If they don't have a profile picture, it's not a hard no, but it does make me wonder why. Sometimes people have legitimate reasons for this, and people talk about this all the time, that there may be legitimate reasons why people don't have a profile photo, which is fine. And I'm not going to bash on anybody for not having that, but I would say if you don't have any reason, like religious or privacy or secrecy or anything like that, or you've had problems in the past with people stalking you or whatever, if you don't have any of those, put on a photo, right? Get a good, strong profile photo. You can either use some AI tools to create great headshot looking photos, or you can get a headshot done, or you can take your own photo, but it should be a photo of you, a photo of what you look like. That's going to give people confidence that you're a real person. It builds trust. Your headline should be what you want to do or what you're looking for or what you do or what value you provide to the world. Don't get cute. Like, I know people out there who have these cute headlines that say nothing about who they are or what they do. And so if somebody goes to your profile and it's like, you know, I don't know. I've seen people like get witty with like what they're doing, and I have no idea like what business they're in, what industry you're in, what they possibly do in their work. So it doesn't mean I'm not going to connect with them, but it doesn't help them. I mean, if a recruiter is looking for you and your headline doesn't say like what kind of roles you do or what kind of roles you want to do, then they're going to probably pass you by, or they might be like, do I want to spend time on this person? So there's a lot of great ideas about how to develop your headline. My favorite one is actually about how to introduce yourself, which is a TED Talk that I'll include in the newsletter, and in the it's I can't think of the guy's name right now, but it's escaping me. But I'll put the link in the newsletter. But it's a TED Talk about how to write great introductions, and that is you can use that for your headline. You should use the formula that this guy puts forward to write introductions or to write your headline. It's I teach blank to do blank, or I blank for blank, meaning for me, I say I teach introverts to be better networkers. That's in my headline, because that says what I do, I teach, who I teach, introverts, and what they get out of it, better networking. If you can do that with your job, if you are in, like my day job is in compensation, I could write a headline that says, I lead compensation teams for better business outcomes. I'm just making that up on the spot, but that would help people go, oh, this guy does this, and he's in this space. I could say I'm in healthcare if I want to stay in healthcare, if I was getting into a different industry. So anyway, fill out your profile section. Make sure it's as filled out as possible, because if people come to your profile and it's not, they're not going to connect with you. Or if you reach out to people and they don't know who you are and they go to look at your profile, they may not want to accept your connection request if you don't have a profile. If you comment on somebody's posts and they go to look at your profile and it's not filled out, or there's like gaps in it and you look like you could be shady, they're going to say like, okay, I'm not going to spend time connecting with this person. So mistake number one, incomplete profiles. Make sure you get that complete and filled out and it represents who you are. Mistake number two is a low number of connections. If you just got on LinkedIn and you're starting out, of course you're going to have a low number of connections, and that's okay. But your goal should be to connect with people every day. And you can start by finding former coworkers. And what I mean by that is, when you fill out your profile, going back to the first thing, you're going to say what your experience is, meaning all the places you've worked, what roles you have. Get all that filled out too. That's part of completing your profile. But then you'll use those companies to search for former coworkers through LinkedIn and try to connect with them. That should be your first thing you do if you first get on the platform. You haven't been on it before, you haven't been on it a long time, is get all your former coworkers that you know, or people that worked at the same place, and send connection requests. Get them to be first degree connections. Now, LinkedIn kind of limits the number of connection requests you can send, but it's something that's always changing. So always look to see how many connection requests you can send, and just determine if you feel like you need to go premium in order to get more. I currently am not a premium LinkedIn member, but I know a lot of people are. It can be useful, especially if you're trying to grow your network fairly quickly. So start finding your coworkers. Now, this goes back to mistake one. If you haven't filled out your profile and you start sending out connection requests, and they go to your profile and see it's not filled out or complete, or they don't know who you are, they may not accept your requests, and your connection count's going to stay low. But as time goes on, you want to increase your number of connections. And I'm not saying you have to have 500 plus. That was certainly the goal. That will take time. It's okay if you have, less than that, but you should be working to increase that over time. What I'm basically saying is, like, don't have like 5 connections and then just be on the platform so you can look at posts and look at other people's stuff. People will come to your profile and be like, this person's not on here. I'm not going to connect with them. If I saw them engaging with my posts, I would think, is this legit, or is this person a bot, or like why is this profile not filled out? Why do they have no connections? So work on increasing the number of your connections over time. And do that by going to your former coworkers first, and then anybody else that is interesting to you, that you follow, that you want to try to connect with. Which leads me to number 3. Mistake number 3 is zero engagement. This happens all the time. Only 1% of people post on LinkedIn, and then probably, I would say, I don't know the number on this, but if I had to guess, I would say only like 10 to 20% comment. It might be even lower than that. I don't know. Comments are the best engagement on LinkedIn. That's what you should be shooting for, especially if you're new and you're trying to build up your connections. Because if you start commenting on people's posts, you don't necessarily have to connect with them to see their posts. You can follow them and then you'll see their posts. And then if you comment, they may reach out to you and ask to connect. And then you don't have to use one of your connection requests. So get on there and start commenting. Add your thoughts on people's posts. That is and not just the author, because the author will see it, but so will other people who are commenting or reading the post. And if you leave some great comments, again, people are going to want to connect with you, start following you. It's a great way to kind of build up your connections and your profile on the platform. I know people sometimes aren't confident in their comments. If you want to see somebody who leaves really great LinkedIn comments and has built an entire presence and audience on LinkedIn around this, his name is Craig Davis. And when you find his profile, the headline says, "I write really good LinkedIn comments." That's how you'll know it's him. And remember back to the profile thing, he says, "Here's what I do. I write really great LinkedIn comments." He talks about how to do this. And I mean, he leaves comments all the time. His profile has grown quickly over the years simply by commenting. Whole growth strategy. So if you don't believe it, I mean, that's a guy who proves it wrong. So if you get on and you understand how to leave really great LinkedIn comments, you're going to grow on the platform. People will see it. They will want to connect with you. And it's a missed opportunity. It's so simple and I don't mean by saying like, "Hey, great post," or "I agree," or anything like that. Anybody who leaves good comments will tell you there's different formulas, but think of it like you're going to acknowledge what the person said. You're going to add your insight. You're basically having a discussion in the comments with the author and anybody else who's posting on the platform. So you want to be, again, constructive. You want to, if you're going to be critical, you want to have constructive criticism. You want to offer your point of view. You want to acknowledge the other person's point of view. And you want to leave anybody reading it thinking, "I got something out of that." So think about that when you're leaving comments. It's a great way to grow on LinkedIn and increase your network. So the 3 mistakes: incomplete profile, low number of connections is number 2, and number 3 is no engagement. And so if you can't comment, you can't bring yourself, at least like the post, at least show people you're there. I can't tell you how many people I have in my life who walk up to me in real life and say, "I love what you post on LinkedIn." And I've never seen them like or comment on any of my posts, which means they're seeing it, but I don't know that. And I would love to know that. Any LinkedIn creator would love to know that. So don't just be a lurker. Get in there and engage. It's a way to grow your connections, which leads to you growing your network, which leads to more opportunities. So go through those 3 mistakes. Make sure you're not making them. Do what you can to fix them if you are, and you'll see an improvement in your network growth on LinkedIn. I hope those help. Give it a try. Let me know if they work, if they're not working, if you're still struggling with that or something else. Please let me know in the comments. Subscribe to the newsletter, the podcast, the YouTube channel. I'm here to help. Like I said, I teach introverts to be better networkers, but I need to know what you're struggling with to help you with solve those problems. So again, would love to hear from you. Go out there, meet some interesting people. Remember, always be connecting.